Hi guys. Okay, so today we're gonna go over washing your brushes and the correct way. So I wanna put it out there that I've seen a lot of really good effective ways to clean your brushes over the years, but especially now that like beauty blogging and YouTube are a little bit more popular. There's a lot of different methods that work. But I want you guys to know that as a professional makeup artist, I've had my brushes for anywhere between 12 and 14 or 15 years. And I have been a working professional artist all of those years. Maybe some years was a little bit fewer jobs, but for the most part, especially in the earlier part of those years, I was doing like 10 or 12 brides a week, and I really have worn my brushes out. I have used them. And I've bought more over the years, but I have had some for actually the majority of them I've had for over 12 years, and they are like brand new. And it's because I have been a real stickler about cleaning my brushes and teaching people how to clean their brushes. So like I said, there's a few methods of doing it correctly, and there's a lot out there of doing it incorrectly. So just make sure, like I was reading through Pinterest the other day and I saw 3 articles that I was like, oh, what are you doing to your brushes? Those aren't gonna last you very long, and they're an investment, aren't they? I mean, if you actually invest money into them, you should really take the time to take care of them. So anyway, so here's what I've done over the years that is the best method, the best way. In my opinion, MAC is, if not the leading artistry brand for cosmetics. They usually are a little bit later coming out with things, but that's because they do their research and test other brands and see what doesn't work with those and what does work, and they perfect their brand to make it better than the other brands. So for example, they just came out with the All the Right Angles palette. I know a lot of other brands have come out with, the contouring palettes years ago. They've had to go in and reformulate or repackage. MAC does it right the first time when they launch it. So just to give you an idea. Okay, so anyway, so when I was with MAC, from the beginning and then still to this day, they use the same method for cleaning brushes, and it's the same one that I've done. So, on a daily basis, or that might be a little bit crazy for most people, but I try to do this 2 or 3 times a week now. Now that I have 4 kids, it's a little bit harder for me to take as good care of my brushes. I just don't have the time. But here's what you do on a daily basis. Okay, so this is one method of cleaning them. This is the MAC brush cleanser right here. Okay, it's sanitizing, it's antibacterial. It is so effective and so great for the brushes. And what's good about this, as opposed to like if you use a coconut oil or Castile soap or things like that are a little bit oily, this is not going to break down the glue. It's formulated because every brush in here has this glue. This is called the ferrule, has glue in there. And if you use too oily of a product and you get that in there, now if you're super careful with your brushes, great. But for us that kind of are in a little bit of a hurry, try to stay away from more oilier products because that will break down that glue in there. So anyway, so on a daily basis, this is one thing you can do. This is not a deep cleansing, okay? You can grab the brush cleanser. This is my favorite one I've found so far. I do like the Paula Dorf one also. That's a brush shampoo for deep cleansing, but just for like a quick, this one can be used for a daily and for the deep cleansing, okay? So you get a paper towel. A lot of people will say like to grab, tissue like Kleenex or something like that. It not only breaks the Kleenex, but this also has that texture in it that really helps to clean it. So you want to just put a tiny bit down, okay? Just tiny bit, full strength in there, and grab your brush. We'll grab, this is my 239 that I use all the time that I love, and you want to come back and forth. So swipe it this way and swipe it this way, okay, until it's pretty clean, and then you want to take it and squeeze it out like that, okay? So I don't know if you can see that, but that got it really quick, and that's completely clean right there, and it's antibacterial. Super quick, right? There's not a whole lot, and this should last you, I mean, depending on how many brushes you have, This will last you most of your brushes, just that little tiny squirt on there. Okay, so there you go, nice and clean. And you do want to squeeze it in there to flatten it, okay? And let it dry like that. Those will dry in, I don't know, depending on how wet you've gotten them, you know, anywhere between 2 and 10 minutes. So it is really quick. For us professional makeup artists, this is great because it does dry those really quick. Okay, so then let's get into deep cleansing. I do recommend this once a week. It's a Sunday cleanse, but if you don't have that time, like I don't have that time these days, try and do it a couple times a month, at least 2 to 3 times, and you guys will see a huge difference in your brushes, especially if you get acne or you know, you tend to build up on your skin. It could be your brushes that truly are doing that because it harbors bacteria. Those brushes aren't meant to be antibacterial, and so it is harboring those. And especially you guys, those beauty blenders that I personally don't love, make sure to clean those so often, you guys. And I've been asked before how to clean them. I've heard you can nuke them in the microwave for a little bit, which is, I don't know if that really works or not, but you would want to squeeze that out with this as a deep cleansing, okay? Because this is the antibacterial. But make sure you're cleaning your tools because that's so important, okay? Okay, so we'll get into deep cleansing. So this is so strong that you honestly can do a 1-to-1 ratio. So when this gets about 50%, you know, empty, then I like to go in and put a little bit of water in there, and it's still going to be just as effective, and it's going to prolong the life of this for you. But it's the same idea here. So you want to get, so you see I have some water in there, right? So you do want to do 1-to-1 ratio. So we're going to go ahead and just squeeze like that. That'll last you all of your brushes, okay? That's all you need. So this, I've used this, so I mean, we maybe used, what, 1/10 of that or something with this. Okay, so here's a couple things you can do. One, you can take all your brushes and just go ahead and just plop them in there. Brushes, you know, or hair side down like that, okay? And just have them kind of soak in there for a bit. But what I do actually is I don't let them soak just because I am kind of scared that anything's gonna break down that glue that is so annoying when brushes do break like that. So what I do is I grab brushes that are about the same amount of dirty, right? And I take them like this and go in here and I just swish them around a little bit, just lightly, you guys. You don't need like a huge, look how dirty that is. You don't need a whole lot, okay, of swishing in there. Okay, and then we're just tapping out the excess. Then what I do is I go and run them through lukewarm water, but I don't have that here, so I'm just gonna go in just to rinse these really well. Okay, then you grab a paper towel. Sorry, mine fell. And like I said on the last ones, you wanna squeeze them out to be flat like that, okay? You see that? And then just lay them overnight on a towel like that. That's all you want to do. So I've seen different methods of doing this, like there's a funky contraption of having them hang upside down to dry. I don't get that. I don't have the space in my house for that, first of all. My kids would get to it way too easily. So just grab a towel and flatten them out like that. Okay, just squeeze the excess out light, you know, softly, and then just lay them flat overnight to dry, and in the morning they are brand new. I mean, they work so much better like that when they're clean. Okay, so that's one way of deep cleansing. Okay, now if you have stubborn brushes like a foundation brush, right? So I don't even own a foundation brush. This is the closest that I have to it that I have used as a foundation brush. I went in and I put NW45, which is a really dark color for me, Pro Longwear waterproof foundation in there. Okay, so this is gonna be super stubborn to get out, but let me show you how easy it is. So what you can do is grab a leave-in conditioner. This is my kids' leave-in conditioner. And you can go ahead and put it on a towel or in your hand. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna squirt it right in my hand. Okay, and then I'm just gonna take the brush in there and create this little foam, and it's just gonna help break that down. Okay, so that's kind of the first step you wanna do. Okay, we're just going back and forth. Okay, and then you want to get the brush cleanser and pour that in your hand, and then same thing. Okay, and it creates this little foam. Look at that. So what the conditioner did is it broke down the product in there. Okay, look at that. Ew. Okay, so that's how you can break it down at very first. Then you grab that mixture and go in there. Okay, and I'm gonna kind of dab a little bit harder than I normally would with other brushes because this one is so stubborn. And it's synthetic, so you can be a little bit harsher with these, but don't think that you can be crazy harsh with them, okay? Okay, so we went in with that mixture. I took it out and I'm squeezing. Okay. So let me show you. Let me see if I can do that. There we go. So you see, I just squeezed that really, really hard, and that's all that's coming out of it. And then you want to go in and rinse in here. Same thing, okay? So you want to break it down beforehand, and I use like a leave-in conditioner personally. You guys, these hairs, I've seen people use like, you know, like on Pinterest, I actually saw use Dawn dish soap. Okay, so there we go, nice and clean like that. It did actually stain my brush, but it's just a stain that's all the way clean like that, okay? I did see on Pinterest like use Dawn soap and some alcohol and clean it like that. You guys, the synthetic brushes, maybe you could maybe get away with that, but I don't use anything on my brushes unless it's this or something that's formulated for brushes that I wouldn't use on my own hair, because these are natural hairs in there. And if you use something too drying, if you use something too oily, things like that, it's the same thing as your hair. It's going to react the exact same way. It's going to be just as goopy or just as dry and brittle and break as what's on your hair. So be careful of using too many oily products, because although it does get it clean, it could break down that glue in there. And then also just make sure you're rinsing it if you do use something like that, like this one right here. This is great if you want to break down your brush that has that foundation in it. You could put this in your hand. Actually, let me show you really quick. This one's not even open, but I'll use the lip brush that I used today, so it's got a lot of color in it. Okay, so here we go. So this is that Castile soap, and I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm going to, let me take my ring off. I'm gonna put a little bit in my hand, okay, like that. And I'm gonna go in, you see that? It just kind of took it right out, okay. And then I'm gonna go in with the brush cleanser, and we're gonna go back and forth. So you guys, don't ever, 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 dig your brush into things. Like there are those mats that you can put under the sink. Look at that, nice and clean, all done. There are those mats that you can put in the sink, and they're like textured and you can go back and forth. Don't do this, you guys, with your brush. Where's one? This is a good example right here, because this is synthetic, so I can kind of do this. Don't do that. Okay, because what you're gonna do is, look at that, it fluffs right up. And I don't care how much water you get on there, every time you do that, it ruins, I say it ruins the integrity of the brush, and it does. It becomes an actual different brush when you do that. So you wanna swipe back and forth as much as you can, and then it's harder to show it here, but you wanna, if you do have stubborn color or creams that are in the middle, you wanna take it and just kind of push it out with whatever cleanser you're using under the sink, okay? So maybe I'll try to get a more advanced video once Ben gets home and can film me by a sink. But for right now, you guys go clean your brushes. Promise me you'll clean them. You know, try to do it once a week, and these will last you forever. Okay, you guys, if you have any questions, head over to my Instagram at Breckhouse and shoot me a question, or you can head over to my blog. It's www.breckhousebeauty.com. And I appreciate you guys watching. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.